You are listening to the Spiritual Warrior Coach with Barbara Savin, the podcast for discovering how powerful your wisdom, compassion, and courage is. Get ready to join Barbara and her guests as they explore and offer you advice on how to reclaim your power, your energy, and your authentic self. And now, here's the host of the show, Barbara Savin.
Well, thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. I am your host, Barbara Savin, and I am here to help you reclaim your power, your energy, and your authentic self. I am a certified clinical and medical hypnotherapist, Reiki master and teacher, energy healing specialist, life coach, and best-selling author of Gentle Energy Touch, The Beginner's Guide to Hands-on Healing. I have been helping my clients for over 35 years. And the older I get, the more wisdom seems to come through. So isn't it time that you believe in yourself? Your mind is going to provide you with your greatest challenges in life because it's so very, very powerful. So let's use that mind for positive thinking, creating harmony, balance, peace, love, happiness, and anything else that your heart desires. Because one day the world will tap you on your shoulder and say, this is your time to shine. And speaking about shining, I am going to bring my guest on right now. How are you, Stephen?
Well, I'm doing great, Barbara. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Having me on your show. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I have been also. So let me tell my listeners about you. Stephen Hawley Martin. He is the editor and publisher of the Oaklea Press Incorporated. He is also the talk show host of a popular weekly internet podcast, The Truth About Life. And as he interviewed dozens of near-death survivors, psychics, researchers into the paranormal, and as well as medical doctors, that humankind is on the cusp of a transition to a new understanding of the true nature of reality. And to share what he has learned and to help speed the transition, which he believes will result in a rebirth of optimism and the world becoming a better place to live and work in. Oh, please, yes. He has written more than 24 books, many of which have achieved best-selling status on Amazon. And Stephen is also a 3-time winner of the Writer's Digest Book Club, having won first prize twice for fiction and once for nonfiction. And he has also won first prize for visionary fiction from independent publisher and first prize for nonfiction from USA Book News. Wow, boy, that's some accomplishment. Welcome. How are you?
Well, thank you, Barbara. Thank you. That's a very nice introduction. I appreciate all that. That was very good.
So how long have you been doing all this?
Well, I got interested in what the true I wanted to find out what the true nature of reality is, because long time ago, back when I was about 25 years old, I had what you would call an out-of-body experience. I'm not sure it was a near-death experience, but I did pop out of my body for a few minutes and look at myself down on the bed, kind of looking like roadkill. And up until that time, I had thought I was my body. I grew up in a family that was, I would call them scientific materialists. They believed that nothing existed except matter. If you couldn't see it under a microscope, it didn't exist. And that was what I thought. That's what I learned at school too. But when I looked down at myself, I realized I was not my body, because I was up here near the ceiling, kind of bumping off of it. And I realized that what I was my consciousness. And then it just opened my eyes and it started me on a quest that, so that was a long time ago, because, I've gotten to be, I may not look too old, but I am. I'm over 70. So it was almost 50 years ago. And I joined the Rosicrucian Society. The Rosicrucian Order was a society of mystics that study metaphysical laws. Went through all their courses, became an adept, read everything I could get my hands on, and I guess, I had a career in advertising and did all that, but up about, gosh, I wrote my first book almost 40 years ago now, and been writing ever since. And as you said, I've got over 24, bunch of them on things like what's the true nature of reality, and the life after death and reincarnation and all those sort of spiritual things. And I think I've got an inkling now of what the true nature of reality is, Barbara. So what do you think about all that?
Wow, that's incredible. So actually, what is the true nature of reality?
Well, the way I like to put it, I feel like we are, and you know this, as you're into all this sort of thing. There's only one life that we're all part of. Mm-hmm. And I kind of liken it to, I think there was a quantum physicist back in the 20s or 30s who first said this. He said, it's like there's reality, someone is having a dream. Reality is a dream, and we're all part of that dream. We're characters in that dream. And I think that really gets very close to what the true nature of reality is, that we think we're different because we have egos that have developed over a lifetime, and we have a subconscious mind that's been built up over many incarnations. Mm-hmm. And so we think we're separate, but we're really all part of that one life, we're all participating in this one dream that's occurring. And we're characters of the dream, but it's really how the one life experiences him, her, itself, if you see what I mean. That's the true nature of reality.
Yeah, I feel we are all one. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't believe that. But we are all one of the universe, of God, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And, we're in a physical body, but we are energy. Because I feel when we leave, the physical body may leave, but the energy is still there. And that's why many people, like even myself, can actually hear and speak to those that have passed over.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's no question about it in my mind. And I think, and you mentioned it earlier, that when you were telling the audience a little bit about me, that I do think we're on the cusp of a new understanding and a new view of reality that and more people I talk to are realizing that we really are all one, and that and just imagine when that becomes the new world view that a lot of people grasp, that we will, maybe some of this, terrible friction and name calling and pointing fingers stuff will stop, because we'll realize that we really are all one, and that we need to treat each other like that. The old golden rule of doing to others as you would have others doing to you. That really makes a lot of sense when you realize that what the true nature of reality is, and then we'll be able to get along, and it'll be a better place to live.
Yeah, I'm truly hoping that, because I'm in my 70s also, that I'm praying that I'll be able to see that and experience it. It would be a wonderful thing to be here physically, but I know energetically we will experience it. I would like to be here physically.
well, maybe, if we do happen to pass on before that all comes to be, maybe we'll be able to come back and experience it as another life.
So I believe in reincarnation, so I'm sure you do too.
Yes. Well, and I've really studied this subject, and I guess the thing that I usually point to that I think is the most convincing evidence of it is that the University of Virginia School of Medicine, a unit of that School of Medicine called the Division of Perceptual Studies, they've been studying the children's memories of past lives for 60 years now. They started in 1962.
Wow.
A gentleman named Ian Stevenson. He was a psychiatrist and head of the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Virginia Medical School. And he was interested, was a Canadian. He died in 2007, I believe, but he was a Canadian who graduated from McGill University and top of his medical school class, and came to Virginia and started looking into this kind of in his part-time. But there was a man, I don't remember his name, but he was the inventor of the Xerox machine, was also interested in reincarnation, and gave the University of Virginia a huge grant to study it.
Wow.
And so Ian Stevenson took advantage of that. I think he wrote his first book about it. It was called 20 Cases Suggestive of Reincarnation, probably in the late 60s, around 1967 or so. And since then, he wrote maybe a dozen books. But during the last 60 years, the University of Virginia, Ian Stevenson and others in that division have compiled more than 2,500 cases of children who remember a past life, and they investigate, what the child said about what his name was, where he lived, who his relatives were, what occupation he had, all those kind of things. And over 70% of those 2,500 cases, they say, have checked out, what they call they're solved. Mm-hmm. So when you've got more than 2,000 cases that all click, it seems to me it's pretty hard to argue that it doesn't exist.
Oh, I know it exists. It was about 5 years ago. A client brought her 12-year-old son to me. He was experiencing shoulder pain forever. MRIs, everything you can name it. No one found anything wrong with him. And when she came, she said to me, he keeps on talking about, past life that happened to him. And I said to her, please don't tell me anymore. Let me do healing on him, and then I'll call you in afterwards, and then we'll see what I feel. Well, during the session, all of a sudden I can see him in the Civil War and getting shot in that shoulder. And so I asked his angels and God and to please clear that energy from him, because it no longer served them purpose. And after the session, he looked at me and he said, I know you know now, just like that. And I said, you know what, let's not say anything. Let's call your mom in. I says, and we'll talk about it when she comes in. She comes in, she sits down. And I said to him, on the count of 3, let's say what you feel it is, and I'll say what I feel it is. And we both came out with the exact same wording, that he was in the Civil War and he got shot, and that's why his shoulder was hurting him. I thought she was going to pass out on me. I think she turned white because she said to me, he's been telling me this for years. She says, and I keep on telling him, it's your imagination, it's your imagination. But let me say, it was not his imagination. It was so vivid, so in front of me, that it was unbelievable. I could see everything that happened to him. And we cleared it. And to this day, he has no more pain.
Well, that's amazing. But I'm not surprised at all, because one of the books that Ian Stevenson wrote, the guy I was just talking about, is called Where Biology and Reincarnation Intersect. And he presents in that book, which is a pretty thick book, over 1,000 pages, more than 200 cases that they studied out of those 2,500 I mentioned, where there was evidence of something like that being carried over from the past life. Some of the most startling things, one person was born missing their leg just below their knee. And they were killed when they were run over by a train and cut off the leg. Another case was a man who was riding a bicycle. He was a teacher and he was riding his bicycle to school, and he was shot, and the bullet entered his forehead and exited the back of his head, causing a big exit wound. And this was documented in the autopsy. Pictures were taken of him. That child who remembered that was born with a birthmark round on his forehead and a big splattering looking birthmark on the back of his head. Other cases, a boy who had his fingers chopped off in a fodder chopper was born with mangled hand, the hand that was that way. So anyway, as I said, over 200 cases where what the reincarnated child had matched up physically with usually with a wound or something that caused the death of the child in the previous life.
Why do you think they would come back with like something missing? And
well, you know, that's a good question. But one of the things you have to realize, Barbara, is that, and I hadn't mentioned this before, but these children who remember past lives, typically there's only a very short time between the end of the previous life and the birth of the current life. And it's only 15 months. So I think what happens is typically these children who remember past lives their previous life was cut short. They were killed in war, perhaps. One classic case is a World War II fighter pilot who was shot down at Iwo Jima, in the Battle of Iwo Jima, and came back and remembered all that, knew, you know, what not only that's what happened, but the ship he flew off of, he knew the name of it. He knew all about the kind of airplane he flew and the people that were on the ship with him, and all those things checked out. So I think what happens is the children who remember typically come back very quickly because their life was cut short. And so maybe they didn't pass through whatever between life kind of thing normally happens. Mm-hmm. One of the things that the Rosicrucians teach, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this or not, but is that the typical lifespan is 140 years. So that if you, between births, so that if you live 70 years, you're going to spend 70 years before you incarnate again in whatever happens in that interim period, which I think is probably, you know, you're part of a soul group and, you know, you learn and so forth there as well. But these kids probably don't even go to the light or whatever. They just got to stick around and find somebody and come back quickly. And so they come back with the injury that maybe they caused their death, you know, at least evidence of it.
Well, I know it's interesting because for myself, I've had so many dreams, and it did not feel like a dream. It felt as if I was actually there, where I have been a healer in other lifetimes and actually was killed. And this lifetime, being my grandma and great grandma were healers, and I have been all my life, I was actually afraid to truly live my purpose and passion. But then illness started truly overwhelming me, that I had to get back to who I really was. But this lifetime, I did not fear being killed again because I knew for some reason I was safe.
Yeah.
And here I am, you know, doing this for over 35 years, actually, probably more like 40, you know, helping clients and not being fearful of someone coming and, you know, killing me. So,
well, you know, that people with your gift, certainly in the past, were often thought of as, you know, having gotten that ability somehow from Satan or whatever. You know, they were in league with Satan and that's how they could do it. I think I mentioned when you and I talked before that my 7 times great grandmother, Susanna North Martin, was hanged as a witch. She was one of the Salem witches, I guess. And people thought, you know, she had a reputation throughout her life. So when the hysteria happened in Salem, it was, you know, she was a pretty easy target or a likely target. She'd actually been tried once before and acquitted. So, it happened. I mean, in that case, I think it was 18 women and one man, and then another man who was actually not even tried, but was killed when they were trying to get him to commit to plead either guilty or not guilty. They piled stones on his chest and said, because they couldn't try him until he made a plea, and he refused to do it.
Refused to do so. So yeah, I without a doubt, I know that that's who I was. And, I lived in Brooklyn most of my life, but then my daughter moved here to California, and then God brought me here and then put me in a Four Seasons hotel as an energy healer and hypnotherapist, which made it so real now for me. And I did not fear. I said, I don't care what anyone says or thinks about me. This is who I am. If you do not accept it, that's fine. Then, we, do something else. So,
Exactly.
So it's amazing how, it comes back. Now, I know, like, for myself, I had some, this lifetime, some karma that I actually had to clear. So do you feel that when we reincarnate, that we actually come back with, karma, and we need to figure out what is it that we need to heal or get rid of or let go of?
I do think that. I think that karma it's an interesting subject because I think it's a lot of times misunderstood. The psychic in the 20th century, Edgar Cayce. Are you familiar with Edgar Cayce? He had some things to say about karma because people would come to him and he would do a reading. Often they might have some physical problem, as the boy did that you helped cure, and he would go into this trance and explain how that came about, and often it was from a previous life, that like the boy who was shot in the Civil War. But as far as karma, his take on it was that it's really something in your psyche that needs to be corrected. That's bringing it to you. It's not that you're being punished. It's that the basic law of metaphysics, and this is certainly taught by the Rosicrucians, is like attracts like. So what's in your mind is what you attract, your beliefs, your opinions, your stance on certain subjects. Those things bring your reality to you, what you experience to you. And so karma is when something comes to you that you don't like, and it does it over and over. For example, maybe you attract individuals to you who abuse you, your girlfriends or boyfriends or husbands or whatever you have, one after another, you're attracting somebody to you who treats you badly, whether it's psychologically or physically. There's something in you that's causing that. And it could be that you have a low opinion of yourself and you're attracting someone who also has a low opinion of you to you. So what you've got to do to break that karmic cycle is change your opinion of yourself, change your beliefs, so that you have a positive view of yourself and a positive outlook on things. And then you'll start attracting the right kind of individual to you. Do you see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's his take on karma, that it's not punishment. It's, you got to ask yourself why you're attracting that to yourself, and then try to change whatever it is in you that's causing it.
Oh yeah, I feel it's all part of healing and truly being your authentic self, and actually getting to know who you are and loving yourself for who you are.
And who you are is you're a very powerful spiritual, eternal spiritual being who's having a temporary physical experience. That's my definition of what a human being is. A spiritual being having a powerful, you've been around forever. And if you need to start thinking of yourself as that, realizing that you have the power, and that you can attract to yourself what you want. And you need to, if you're not doing it now, you need to figure out what belief you have or opinion you have or whatever that's causing the problems that are coming to you.
Oh, without a doubt. I truly believe that, and that's why, like for myself, I actually truly got to know me, and I allowed myself to let go of things that no longer serve purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, because yesterday is yesterday, tomorrow is tomorrow. We have no clue. Today, we should live in the moment, which a lot of us don't. But, it's just being mindful of your own emotions and your feelings, and not allowing anyone to put you down.
Right. And there's certainly people who will do that, narcissistic people who will, always make it your fault or you're wrong. And really it's them, they're the ones that are bringing their problems on themselves too. So there you go.
This is maybe a strange question, but do you think that UFOs really exist, and why they're actually maybe visiting us? Because I had actually an experience that I cannot explain. I was with my girlfriend in the car. We were going over and it was like 6 o'clock. We looked at the time. We were going over the Washington Bridge in New York City. And it was like we disappeared. And then we found ourselves in the same spot at 8 o'clock, but we didn't know what happened to us for 2 hours.
My goodness.
So it was an unexplained situation.
Well, I'll tell you what I think about UFOs. I think it's that they're not necessarily coming from some other planet in this solar system. I think they're coming from another dimension.
Oh.
That it's really a psychic phenomenon that, just like people see ghosts and so forth, or have some sort of a spiritual or metaphysical kind of experience. I think that UFOs are real, but to think that they're mechanical or matter in the sense of our airplanes or ships or boats or whatever is kind of off base. They're not. I mean, just think of what's described about how they're able to maneuver and change directions, which would be impossible for anything that's made of steel or aluminum or whatever. I think it's a psychic thing, and I think that we are being observed by advanced civilizations that exist probably in other realities, other dimensions, and that they are trying to wake us up. I'm sure you're aware of people who channel beings from other realms, like the raw material that was channeled back in the 1980s. That sort of thing, I think, exists, and I think that UFOs are somehow tied into all of that they're real, and they want to contact us, but they're not going to interfere with our free will. Now, maybe if they abducted you for 2 hours when you were going across the Washington Bridge into Manhattan, I don't know if that's interfering with your free will or not, but maybe they just wanted to check you out, Barbara.
It could be. And I was with a psychic, actually. It was well known. And I don't know. It was an unexplainable situation. And to this day, when I speak to Linda, we always say, what happened to us for those 2 hours? But we're fine.
So you were crossing the bridge, and what happened exactly? And what did you experience?
Nothing. We experienced.
And then it was 2 hours later?
Later, and we were in the exact same spot that we were 2 hours prior. It was one of the oddest things I've ever experienced. And to this day, we keep on mentioning to one another, what happened to us? Where did we go? There was no way that we couldn't have not known, but we don't know. And the car was exactly in the same spot.
Wow. How did you know that you'd look at your watch or something?
Oh yeah, because we were looking. I said to her, "Oh wow, it's 6 o'clock. When we get to, we'll go have dinner." And we agreed. And then that was the last thing that we remember. And then now it was 8 o'clock. And I said to her, she looked at me. She said to me, where have we been for 2 hours? I had no clue. Neither did she. And we even checked ourselves to see if maybe they put something on us or, but there was nothing, nothing that we can feel or actually see. But it's strange because then my healing abilities like kicked up 1,000%, and her psychic abilities all of a sudden, went through the roof. So I don't know if they just chose us and helped us. I've that's the only thing I'm thinking that may have happened. And I don't really
that makes sense to me, that maybe that's what it was. That they wanted, because I don't think they're, like I said, I think they would like to help us, but they don't want to interfere with our free will. I mean, because that's one of the basic rules of, sentient beings, is you don't enslave them, you don't interfere with their ability to make a choice, So,
right.
but they could hype up your healing abilities and your friend's psychic abilities. That might help humans move a little faster along the track to a higher level of consciousness, where we will be able to communicate with those folks from a higher civilization.
Oh, I know when I visited, I was in Arizona for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was out on the balcony of the hotel, and all of a sudden I saw these huge lights, bright lights, moving in different directions. And I wasn't the only one, because on the news that night, it said people saw, UFOs, and they just merged all together. And then all of a sudden they just that's it. You couldn't see them. You couldn't find them anymore.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. So
I think they're popping in and out of our reality. They have their own reality, and they pop in, and they want to kind of wake us up, and then they disappear and get us questioning, and that's what we're doing,
I know. I usually have not really told that story. I hope my listeners don't think I'm weird.
Well, no, if they're watching this show or listening to this show, then they're interested in this sort of thing, I would guess.
Now, let me ask you, I know, I think when we were talking a while ago, you mentioned about the law of one.
Yeah, the law of one is, well, I briefly mentioned the channeling that was done back in the early 1980s of an entity that called himself or itself Ra, R-A, Ra. Ra was also a god in the ancient Egyptian pantheon. And Ra says that he was that incarnation in Egypt, and that he came to try to help the civilization of Egypt advance, but they got the message wrong after a while. They kind of twisted it, which I think humans tend to do. Mm-hmm. And Ra was said that he was a civilization that evolved on the planet Venus, that he's actually a group soul that is far advanced I believe he said he's in the 6th density. There are 7 densities according to Ra, which I can explain real quickly. But it's amazing to me that recently NASA has come out in the last year and said that Venus would have supported life a couple of billion years ago, that the climate on Venus, which is now, of course, very warm and, dense, would have been like Earth's about 2 billion years ago. So it would have been possible for Ra to his civilization to have evolved that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so Ra says he came through a woman named Carla, and then there was a physicist whose name I can't remember, and somebody else. It was 3 people who did this channeling, and they've created 5 books out of it, which you can go on Amazon and get. I think it's called The Raw Material, The Law of One. And the 7 densities, let me quickly say what that is, and then I'll tell you what Ra said the Law of One is. The first density is just matter, like the moon without any life on it, or Earth before it had any plants or animals. The second density is, and this has to do with vibrations. Mm-hmm. The vibrations increase as you go up the scale. The second density is life, like plants and animals, along with the matter. The third density is where we are now, which is plants and animals, but also life that is self-aware. Like you and I are self-aware. We're talking about our own existence here, and what might it be, and what is the true nature of reality, and all that sort of stuff. So that's third density. Fourth density is where we're going, and we're moving into that now. And Ross said that we would really be passing over 51% of being into fourth density in the year 2012, which coincides with the Mayan calendar and all that. So fifth density is where, well, fourth density, we realize that we are all one, and that is the law of one, that there is really only one life of which we're all a part. Mm-hmm. And we're facets of that one life. And once we realize that, we'll start being nice to each other for a change. Fifth density is where we combine that realization that we're all one with more wisdom, and in sixth density, I've forgotten what it is. In seventh density, we finally return to the source, to the creator, to God, or whatever you want to call that. So, and then I suppose it starts all over again. So, but the law of one is that all is one. Mm-hmm. We are all one life. The universe itself is, the ground of being is consciousness, and that is one mind that is having this dream we call reality, and we are all characters in that dream, but at the core, we are the one life.
Wow, it's amazing. So now, do you think when we get to number 7, that the earth will start all over?
That's going to be a long time, but okay.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Well, we'll see it from above. We'll experience it. We'll say, see, I knew that was happening. But yeah, when
we get to number 7, we'll merge back into the creator, to the source, but supposedly we will continue to have our individual consciousness.
Okay, yeah, I guess that I was trying to get at. So yeah, so do you feel that
I had a mystical experience once. I was about 35 years old, and it was another thing that shot me along, and I really felt at that. I don't know how long it went on. Maybe it could have been a couple of minutes. It might have been a half an hour, but I had this feeling that my consciousness merged with the infinite consciousness. And if I wanted to answer to a question, such as, what's the true nature of reality, I would know it. It's like I didn't even have to ask the question. I would just think about it, and I would have all the answers. And it was the most fantastic experience. I can't describe it. I write about it in one of my books, and I felt that I, for a few minutes, merged with the source.
So do you feel that they downloaded a whole bunch of information and you're able to write these extraordinary?
Yeah, I think I got a lot of what I believe and think from that. I unfortunately didn't get it all, but yeah, a lot of it came through and stuck with me.
Do you feel that, as the time goes on now, they'll continue to download so that you'll be able to write more books?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like things come to me, and then I feel like I have to write them. That's why I've written so many books. I mean, I feel like I have to document it. Mm-hmm. And but I try to base I try to find research that's been done or things that have happened that will give evidence that what I'm talking about is true.
It's true.
And, for example, I use a lot from quantum physics and quantum physicists experiments they've done that support the idea that all is one, that there's one mind, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The double slit experiment is one that I use used a couple of times in books to show that what the researcher, the scientist knows or doesn't know determines the outcome of the experiment. And how can, if consciousness and knowledge is confined to the brain, then that wouldn't be possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yet scientists continue to think that the brain is what creates consciousness. The brain doesn't create consciousness. The brain is a receiver of consciousness that integrates it with your body. So, I mean, your brain affects your consciousness, obviously. You have too much to drink, you're going to do stupid things, but it's not the originator. It doesn't create consciousness. It only receives it, and it can distort it, but it doesn't create it.
Because when you mention it, because sometimes I'll say things and I say, how do I know that? I've never learned it. Never read it, but yet I know it.
Well, that sort of thing happens to me all the time, and because I've become aware of it and watch out for it. But I'll, like if I'm writing a book, for example, something will come to me, and then I'll investigate it and find out, and I'll find some substantiation for it or whatever.
For it.
It happened to me today when I was working on something, and I kept getting these letters in my mind, and then I thought, what do those letters stand for? And I said, oh yeah, and it was just what I needed at that time.
What you needed. Yeah, I feel they do give us what we need. We just need to be more aware and actually listen more.
Yeah, it's all, Carl Jung talked about synchronicities, which are, I guess, defined as meaningful coincidences, and they happen all the time. And once you realize it and start looking for it, you'll see that it does happen all the time. Just what you need when you need it. A lot of times people think, well, that can't be, so they'll ignore it. And they're missing an opportunity when they do.
Right.
Because the universe is trying to hand them something and they won't take it.
100%, and I always say, not necessarily what you want, but you will receive what you need. And I truly believe that. But all we need to do is pay attention, listen, and it's like a voiceless voice that actually speaks to us. And we say, gee, how do I know that? Or why do I feel I need, let's say, to do the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast? Is because up there, they've been pounding me now for a while to do this. And they actually gave me the name. So, and then I acted upon it and finally did it.
Yeah, that sort of thing happens to me all the time too. And for a while, I would ignore it or whatever. And as you said, it's not always what you want, but it's what you need. And sometimes that's hard to take, but it's true.
It's true. I know.
I mean, you just have to accept it and realize it's going to work out. It's going to work out for the best.
It's trusting, believing, and just knowing and feeling that it's for our highest good.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, I guess, another crazy question, because, I'm many years ago, one of those hippies of the, age of Aquarius. Do you feel that we're actually moving into a new age of that, or?
Well, that's not even a question. Yeah, we are. We're moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius.
Okay.
And the water bearer. And I mean, that's, what is it? Astronomically true. Mm-hmm. We are, we go around, our solar system travels around the Milky Way, and we're headed into, I think it began in about 1987. And we're well into completing the transition from Pisces into Aquarius. And Pisces the age of Pisces, Pisces means the fish. It's really very appropriate because, Christianity and the fish for 2,000 years. These ages last 2,000 years.
Oh, okay.
So we started moving into Pisces when Jesus was around, and we're moving out of it now into Aquarius. And I think it definitely coincides with going from what Ra called the third density into the fourth density, where we go from thinking that we're individuals that are, all just ourself and nothing else, and we're looking out for number one, to realizing that we're all one life and that we are all interconnected, and that we should be looking out for the whole, which is ourself as well as everyone else, and the higher good, as you said. So yes, we're moving into a new age, both as far as the stars are concerned,
Right.
and in terms of what people believe and think.
So then this third density that you said we're in the third density now.
We're moving from third into fourth. Yeah, we've been in third for a long time, and we're moving it. These things, these densities take a long time, but we're moving into it. It's the higher vibration that we're moving into, and not everyone, probably only a small minority of people have actually become fourth density individuals. But because the fourth density individuals have a higher vibration, it raises the vibration of the whole society, the whole world, the human race. And according to Ra, he said 40 years ago that we're going to pass into 51% in 2012. And I think that we're, almost we're 10 years after that. So we're moving along into it.
So what do you think each one of us needs to do for ourselves in order for us to actually move into the fourth density?
Well, the Ra entity said that what we need to do is make a decision as to whether or not there are two ways to move forward. One is to choose what's called service to others, what we're going to do as an individual is serve others, service to others. So what you do in that case is figure out what your dharma is, what your unique ability is, whether it's healing or psychic abilities, or maybe you're, I don't know, good writer, whatever it is, and use that to serve others. That will not only make your life fulfilling and worthwhile, maybe not rich, but fulfilling and worthwhile, but it'll also help society. So service to others is one path. The other path is service to self. And that's what narcissistic type people do. According to Ra, when we have moved completely into fourth density, service to others individuals will incarnate somewhere else. They won't incarnate here on Earth if we're service to others, society. So, but what Ra says is you have to make a choice. And once you make the choice, you need to follow that path. And he doesn't say that one's better than the other. I personally think that service to others is the logical path to follow. He also says that 95% of people will choose service to others, and only 5% will choose service to self. But they'll be incarnating somewhere else.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's funny because I had a friend who passed away quite a few years ago. She would look at me, she would say, "You're always service and work, service and work, service and work." But that's what I was. I was always giving service, doing something to help others. because I felt that that was my purpose, my passion, and that's what I needed to do. And I listened and went that path. You know, it's not easy. Let me tell you, it's not an easy path, but I really feel this is what not just I chose, but, you know, God and my angels and archangels may have chosen for me, and that I had a choice whether to, you know, go forward with this. And I did.
And to me, makes a better life when you feel like you've done something to help others, that you have a purpose that you're fulfilling. Whereas just, you know, focusing on yourself and what can I get, you know, that doesn't compute for me, but apparently it does for some people. I look around at some of these politicians and I think, gosh, you know, that's what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
So,
And not coming back on this side.
no, thank goodness we're going to get rid of them next time around.
I know. Yeah, that's what I look at, you know, I say, wow, what a boy, greed. We're really greedy, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it should, I mean, my thing was, it was never about the money. It was how I could help others, just like doing this podcast. One of my clients actually said to me, so what are you getting at? Are you, you know, making money doing this podcast? And I looked at her and I said, no, it's not about the money. It's about helping other people. It's about helping people find other people that can help them, and to, you know, give them more information and help them understand at a different, you know, a higher level.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I know, you know, with you and your writings, it's the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, my wife keeps saying, why don't you write something that, you know, a lot of people will buy the books and we'll make a lot of money. Well, you know, it's not the kind of books I want to write. I want to write the kind of books I'm writing, you know, and I feel like, you know, somebody who has thought all their life that when they die, that's it, you know, like it's like pulling the plug on a vacuum cleaner or a lamp or whatever, it goes off and that's it. Reads one of my books and finds out, hey, I'm an eternal being who's going to be around for eternity.
That's right.
It's going to change how they see the world, and they're going to have a better life because of it. They're not going to be afraid anymore to die or to, you know, whatever. I mean, you're going to be around forever. So enjoy.
That's
really good things.
It's funny, you know, like 9 days ago, I actually ended up in the emergency room, and you know, while I'm there and they're checking me out, and I'm saying, I feel this is not my time. But if my soul chose this moment in time, then of course, then, you know, it is. But now I know it wasn't. So, and I'm very happy about that. But yeah, it's I actually, you know, laying, you know, in emergency room, in the emergency room, I said to myself, if this is how it'll end, I have no fear of dying, but I would really prefer to be here a lot longer because I still have work I need to do. So, I mean, I wasn't asking, you know, but, you know,
I feel exactly the same way, that I you know, I've got other things I want to do, but in a way I'm kind of looking forward to when it does happen, because it's going to be an adventure. You know, it'll be, I don't know exactly what to expect. I mean, I've read and I've talked to a lot of people who've had near-death experiences, but every one of them seems to be a little different. I mean, there's certain commonalities to all of them. But anyway, also looking forward to meeting up with people who've gone before and, you know, renewing old. I kind of remember before I was born, every once in a while it comes to me, how I was leaving this group that I was part of that was really very, you know, tight group and, you know, good friends. And they were saying, yeah, we'll see you, you know, in 70 or 80 or 90 years. And have fun. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting back and meeting with those people.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to meet my grandma, my great grandma, and everyone else, you know, there, you know, and my mom and dad, and of course my pets and everybody else. But
oh yeah,
yeah,
pets are definitely part of it. If you have dogs or cats or whatever you were close to, they'll be there too.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. They'll all help me go to the light, you could say.
Right, exactly.
So one more question, and then we can tell my listeners where they can find you and read your books and everything. What do you think, is the true ultimate destiny, of humankind?
I think, this is a good question. And here, all I could do is what I imagine, what seems like to me would be the ultimate thing. When you look at life on Earth, what does it do? It reproduces itself. It's, every dog has a litter of, 6 or 8 puppies, and plants have seeds and they reproduce. So the whole thing about life is that it's propagating, it's creating more and more of itself. So wouldn't that be what the universe is doing? It's creating, it's trying to create offspring. And so maybe each one of us eventually, when we go through all these 7 densities, will become a new universe, a new mind that has all these characters in it that are doing their thing. The dream that the big dreamer is having will be the big dreamer ourselves. I mean, so maybe our destiny is to become a new universe in several billion years, or however long it takes.
Well, when we both pass, I'll make sure I look you up. That's for sure.
Eternity, Barbara, is a long, long time, and there's no beginning, no end. So, yeah, I think that we're evolving, each one of us, and we'll evolve to higher and higher levels. And somehow or other we'll become something new. Maybe we'll be stars and planets. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's funny you see that, because every time I look up and I see the stars, and I say to myself, and there's we know there's like thousands and probably millions of stars. And I say, I bet that is one of us.
Yeah, could be.
Mm-hmm.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll each, I think it's the Mormons who think we each get our own planet or something. So maybe that's something like that, who knows?
Well, we'll know, when it's time to leave, but not right now, please. Not now, I beg. We want to be here a little longer. But Stephen, where can my listeners find you, your books, and what are the names of some of your books? Also.
Well, Life After Death, Powerful Evidence You'll Never Die. I've got a new one out called Flow, The Secret to Happiness. I've got one, if you're interested in trying to figure out why you're here and what you ought to be doing with your life, called The Magic of Mission. The thing to do is to go to my website, which is shmartin.com, and you'll see me there on the homepage. There's a video you can watch if you want to. But up at the top, there'll be a menu, and one of the little buttons is books, and click on that, and you'll see my books, all of them. And you can click on any one of the covers. It'll take you to the page on Amazon where you can read the first chapter or 2 if you want, see what other people have said about it who might have reviewed the book, and decide whether you want to get it or not. And so, yeah, shmartin.com. And also, if you want to contact me, if you're interested in contacting me, or maybe I offer publishing services or whatever, you can do that through my contact page, and I'll answer you, I promise, within a day or 2. So, and I look forward to hearing from you. I love to hear from people. Sometimes I even start a conversation with them that goes on for quite a while.
And you also have a podcast, right, that you do?
Well, I'm not doing that podcast anymore. I did it for 3 years and I loved it, but it just got to be more than I could handle in terms of how much time it took. But I talked to an awful lot of interesting people, and I got a lot of information from them that I use today in my writing. So yeah, The Truth About Life was a fun thing to do. And I did it for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
How long have you been doing yours?
Would you believe, just since last August?
Ah.
Only a few months, and I have about 35 episodes already. I'm really like pushing along here,
Good.
so that people, and when I check, it's actually people Peru, Spain, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, Japan today. Japan popped up. So, and the United States, of course, it's actually being either watched or listened to worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I sell a lot of books in England in particular, but also a few in Japan and other countries. That's one of the nice things about Amazon. There's a Amazon everywhere in every country, I guess.
Yes, there is, believe me. So again, one more time with your website.
SHMartin, SHMARTIN.com. Yeah, please do come to it. Check out my books and send me an email.
Well, Martin, I cannot thank you enough. And boy, this was an eye opener for me too, because I'm curious about incarnation, reincarnation, and life after death. And I know it's real. That's all I could say. And our conversation today makes me truly know that it really is real. So yeah. And I'm one that will check your books out and definitely purchase them and read, because I know I need to learn a little more, from others such as yourself.
Well, thank you, Barbara. I've enjoyed talking with you very much. I really have.
Well,
Just keep in touch.
Well, oh, believe me, I will. It's my pleasure. And, I want to thank my listeners for listening today. And again, a very big, big thank you to Stephen. And I hope that you heard what you needed to hear. So please visit me at motivateyourlife.net. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel, The Spiritual Warrior Coach. And for those of you that may be interested in learning about energy healing, check out my book, The Gentle Energy Touch, The Beginner's Guide to Hands-On Healing. And it is, of course, on Amazon. So again, thank you, Martin, for an incredible interview. Thank you for listening today, and have a beautiful week filled with love and with light. Love, Barbara.